Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is your host, Honey Jai, on Let's Sip Tea, my co-host, Nicole. On our phone, we have our co-host, Chrissy, and our special guest, Mr. Brandon. Mr. Brandon Jackson.
How you doing?
Our topic is, hey.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Hopefully you can be heard. Okay. And our topic for today is, with all that's going on, is the effects of quarantine. There's been a lot of effects of this quarantine, as we could see starting last night. But also, I'm about to connect in Crystal. Hey, Crystal.
Yes.
Hey,
Hi, Crystal.
how
How
are
are you?
you?
Good. How are y'all?
I'm doing great.
Good. We first want to start with our special guest. So if you would lead, it'd be greatly appreciative. Kind of let the guests know where you're from, what you do, how are you.
My name is Crystal J.
Hold on, Crystal.
I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. I work in the finance industry, and I'm alive, so I'm doing good.
That's
That's
wonderful.
wonderful. And how about you, Mr. Brandon?
My name is Brandon Jackson. I'm up here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I work in public policy. I'm currently running for a state senate seat up here, and work for the ACLU.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. And also our co-host. Okay.
Yes.
So, okay, we just want to, let the people know, how are you doing?
Doing well. On the road right now, trying to get back to Dallas, but glad to finally get this going, and so we can feature our young man Brandon Jackson and the great things he's doing up there in Milwaukee, and hopefully it filters down here to us in Texas.
Right.
Figure some
Yeah.
stuff out, and everybody will stay safe. And like you said, we'll let him speak more on his stuff. But I know he did a canvas last Sunday and everything, so he could probably touch on that as well, on how he's canvassing and during COVID, how he's stomping the yard.
Okay. Well, let us know how you're stomping the yard out there.
Safely, you know, you mask up, you glove up, sanitize kids when we have to reuse them. We gotta keep them in bags, of course. Otherwise, it's literally people walking around with a box of pins in their pocket, like take one and keep it after you sign. It's different because we've never seen anything like this. So like I'm focusing on web presence and digital content and stuff like that to kind of bring the message forward. You can't do the things that traditional candidates have done as far as visiting churches, visiting social events and club meetings and things like that.
Wow. It is. It really is a different time. It's. I hate when they say it's the new norm, but it pretty much is the new norm.
It is the new norm. But I think that this is a great time though for younger generations of public policy nerds, of young activists and organizers to finally take their time though to stand up, because a lot of what's going to change here uniquely, we're going to have to rebuild our economy after Corona.
Right.
A greater stake in it. You know what I mean? We have a chance now to ensure that we have representation at the table to rebuild an economy that's reflective of our community.
Correct.
And it would never have been done for us before, but now both sides of the aisle have to rebuild their economy.
Right.
And you have to do so actively campaigning digitally, actively campaigning on the web, on your Twitter, on Facebook, keeping your website up to par and not outdated. It's almost an edge that I would argue that some of the younger generation, people that want to get into it, that they can actually start surge ahead during this next fall cycle.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot. It truly is different. Do you think it's like a little, I mean, not quite challenging, but a little challenging, because you're not able to see who's out there versus when when you have the opportunity to campaign, you get the opportunity to see the people that's out there versus what's going on now.
It may be different for me. When I finished grad school at DePaul for public policy, I went back to Nashville to go to seminary at American Baptist College. And God is just kind of taking me in a different way. There's also some things moving with me in ministry. I noticed that when we're outside of our building, the ministry building, was going to be our home. Just doing something positive, cleaning up. It used to be a dumping site just about. People stop and they're inquisitive. They stay socially distant, but they want to know who's doing something positive in a community that they've not seen something positive for so long.
Right.
You have to be willing and not see yourself above anybody. I can be driving down the street and I literally throw gloves and my mask on if I see cars at the gas station. And I keep conversations short with people. I'm gloved, I'm masked, I'm doing the non-reuse chins, and they're literally directing everybody to my website. Because this is the best opportunity that I have to introduce myself. People go off and throw away flyers, cards,
right,
toss it to the back seat. But we can go look at something on our phone real quick just with a Google search, and most of us have the app on our phone.
That's true.
That's true.
If you know how to utilize, I think, the digital platforms and are familiar and versed with some of the technologies out there, I think this is harder for some of the older generation of elected incumbents than it is for some of us that are trying to unseat the government.
Hey, Miss Crystal, do you have any questions that you have for Mr. Brandon?
Well, I'm kind of late for the party. I think the topic was the results from quarantine, or y'all could kind of bring me up to speed as to what the topic of the day is.
It's still the topic, but we have our special guest, Mr. Brandon, on. I want to make sure y'all can hear one another. Can y'all hear one another?
I didn't hear the question. I didn't hear it.
Okay, she hasn't asked one yet. She was just trying to get up to speed. We're still talking about the effects of quarantine, but we're also talking about it right now with him running, how difficult it is, or if not difficult, running without being able to see your audience, going out and talking to the actual people. And so I was wondering, did you have any questions for him?
I do. One of the things that we tend to rely on traditionally is like single leadership. We tend to pick one person to lead a movement, and time is kind of, history and time has kind of taught us that, it's not the smartest, it's not a smartest move. I firmly believe that, the revolution is going to be led by people, not by a person. I just want to know what your perspective is on that. I mean, I understand that you're running as an individual, but what's your perspective on that single person leadership? And what I mean by that is, at a point in time, we had Martin Luther King that was doing this one nonviolent movement, and we have Malcolm X, which by any means necessary, and we have our Reverend Sharptons that bring in our religious perspective, but these are all one face of a certain movement, not just, hey, everybody make a move. So I want to know what your opinion is on that perspective.
Absolutely. I touched on this in a previous interview that I did, and I kind of elaborated on that same thing. Wherever we go, whatever progress we see, it's got to be collective. I was just literally talking about how moving as a person of faith, I recognize what you see in a body, in a people. You know what I mean? And there's no one person that can successfully lead. While Martin Luther King did great things and was able to speak in different realms and different platforms and in different rooms, Malcolm X was able to speak in equally different and equally diverse rooms and platforms that have those same conversations going that enacted. Both of them, what they had to bring to the table is that they enacted. MLK was able to work. He understood the means and the message behind us having to really change policy. And all of these things have to coincide. There's not any one person that's going to run for any elected seat that's going to change anything for us, because that one person is only one vote, it's only one voice in that capital or in that state house. But what it's going to take is the people uprising, the people speaking, the people shouting, the people yelling, because now attention is brought to something that they could never hear my one voice howling in a committee room in the Capitol. It's so easy to turn that off. But when you see a whole city and a whole neighborhood and a whole state lobbying behind change and protesting the current status quo, that you have to see at the same time that that's a collective effort to move a legislative or a policy needle. Because no matter what you may see in me as I represent my district, guess what? You have constituents that are yelling at you to change this. You have constituents that are out there protesting. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's where I lie with that. I've been arrested protesting myself. I mean, literally sat in jail away from the crowd I was arrested with and held overnight before I even got a booking photo or an identification bracelet. I've taken part in every level of activism that you can possibly think when it comes to trying to move a legislative needle or to change the dial on policy that ultimately binds us and keeps us down. Whether it was me working as staff to author legislation, to write a bill that was the first of its kind in the nation to actually get passed, it brought some independent investigations to officer involved there, or bills that I've written to stop and frisk and illegal strip searches. Mm-hmm. Those were all inspired by me having my hands bowed and my face down on concrete, protesting police brutality. I just learned how to code switch and meander through both platforms and both things. It doesn't negate or lessen any other person's or any other collective involvement.
Wow.
I have a follow-up question, Brendan, to that. I think I can, from what you said, I think we agree that there has to be, there can't be just one face of it. I've often thought that, even though I understand that we can no longer do this, one person becomes a movement, because when we lose that person, we often lose the message. And we have to start all over again, reprogramming and re-inviting our people to the movement and understanding, hey, this is what we're fighting for, this is what we're moving toward. So I've always thought that, how do we turn the people into a leader? And I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but it really is a legitimate question. It's almost like, how do we put all of these tiny little figures together and make these people a leader, if it's even possible? That's the thing, because sometimes we have these grand ideas, and it looks great when I draw it, but in reality, all of those people are moving in different directions. So in order to become a people as a leader, everybody got to be moving in the same direction. And I think we can honestly say that all of us want to live. All of us want to survive. Right. And if we can put survival in this form of a block of cheese and we're this mice, we can get everybody to move in this direction. But then again, I contradict myself, because I'm not sure that everybody wants to live. Honestly, when I look in the faces of my brothers and sisters, I'm not sure that everybody wants to push forward, because things have gotten so bad for us that some of us feel like,
I want to stop you for a second. I'm sorry. I agree with you, but I think that a lot of where we start in equipping our people to be leaders is when we first take the chance to step back and restore faith and hope to our people. Because right now, we don't have a consistent visualization. Our baby can't see an everyday example of Black excellence in front of their face, unless they turn on the TV. Not regularly, not consistently. But when we started to gut our public education and gut our public schools, then we're pulling away from their ability to pour into their future. Then when we find industry that our children are ill-equipped to go work in because we gutted their education, now we pull their ability to earn a livelihood and to successfully hold down not just a job but a career. You know what I mean? Like it's so multi-pronged because it's not that people don't want to move forward. It's that people don't. It doesn't look like we have anything to move forward to.
Right.
Right.
You know, we can't see beyond the next bill due date because of the jobs the majority of us work when we blessed enough to even have one. And when you really remove that from the equation and you give people wages they can sustain and you give kids education to make them competitive in the workforce. You give them an ability to work and sustain and create for a family so that they can be a breadwinner or a provider. We can't, up here where I'm at in Milwaukee, we're about 2 generations removed from seeing mothers and fathers working sustainable jobs that don't just provide a wage but a livelihood.
Right.
2 generations removed from that, which means not one mom but 2 moms have raised children with an inability to see that.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Well,
You know, I've worked at the Department of Children and Families where I've had to make sure that children were getting correct federal benefits and find out just through my own audit and review that these are kids that are not just the child but the grandchild of someone that was in the Department of Children and Families custody of the child.
Right. Right.
Like our backs are broken spiritually. Our backs are broken.
Right. And do you think that's also why, like even with the stimulus package, you know, a lot of us will use it to go out and buy tennis shoes or whatever, as opposed to, you know, covering our livelihood?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. You know, my advice to people with the stimulus check.
Yeah.
If you're working, save it.
Yeah.
You know, the government and the economy, they need cash right now almost more than you do. So it's about you going to go pump it right back out, not hold on to it.
Right.
But you need to hold on to it because let's look at some things. If we could have taken the opportunity to get away with paying reduced or no rent right now, we're saving there. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're going to give me an extra $1,200 to infuse my savings?
Right.
Awesome. You know, if we can pay the cell phone bill, my cell phone bill just because of this was reduced down to $35 a month. So if I'm saving $100 there, I'm saving.
Right.
Because when it all comes back down to it and it's rolling through, I have something. You know what I mean? I when it's time to start paying rent again, I might have 6 months worth of rent saved up.
Amen.
Like I'm minded the things that I could save on. And you don't know what we have to weather. You know, right now, the best advice is that we've not seen the highest peak of coronavirus yet. And once we see the highest peak, we're looking for a second peak.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
You know, put it up or use it for things that are going to grow. Not for some tennis shoes, not for...
Right.
Use it for things that are going to grow.
Right.
Yeah, a few of my friends used stimulus to buy stock because everything was crashing.
I did too.
I'm thankful for that question, though, and for you raising that point, because I've been waiting for someone to highlight the fact that what do we do for people who no longer have hope?
Right.
And the only way to restore someone's hope is to show them that you can go to work and you can earn and you can have the ability to pay your rent, buy your groceries, clothe your kids, maybe pay your private school tuition if that's your choice. And possibly take a summer vacation. That's a livelihood.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
You know, things like that restore hope.
Right.
It's a generational breakdown. It's going to be a generational build up as well.
Right. Because to me, it's turned into what once was a dream for our race, our people, has turned into a fantasy. You know, so that's where hope has gone away. You know, it's like you said, man, yeah. Wow.
Said a mouthful.
Your insight on that as well. You know, like you said, we haven't seen the peak, and there's more to come with this stuff. So quarantine, but figure out a healthy way to be quarantined. Like for myself, I know if it was raining a little while back here, so I would just get on my porch and walk back and forth just to get outside just a little bit, and take that break from the computer or whatever, working from home. So, it doesn't have to be anything big and major. I think that's what we need to understand too, to kind of break out monotony, for those of us that are blessed to still have a job and can work from home.
And I don't think one thing that I've learned to do is I go for a drive. Like I get on the highway and do a loop around the city and I'm right back home about 40 minutes later.
Exactly. Yep. It's little small stuff like that we can do.
Yeah.
Because for me, I think about, like with my parents, and when they grew up, they had none of this that we have access to. Computers, nothing like that, and so they kind of grew up in a quarantine when you think about it, because they were on farms, and farms were spaced out between one another. So it's kind of like you said, okay, so for that little walk around the house or around the yard, or whatever it is, so to take that drive, do something to break your monotony and try to get that.
There's a lot of positive things that come out of this stuff too. For the first time in I don't know how many, I'll venture to say decades, we're back to a family unit. We're back to family dinner.
Yeah.
Right. We're back to helping kids with homework.
Yeah.
Right. Talking to your children to find out what's going on. Back to checking in with your spouse because there's no one else to check in with.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
I think that this pandemic, even though it's supposed to be so negative, and in some places it is, of course, with lives being lost, but it also created, I think, to me, it made a bond bigger. It made a mother closer to their daughter and their son. It made fathers closer to their daughters and their sons. Either it built a home that was needed to be helped, or it knocked down a home that didn't need to stay where it was in the first place. So to me, it was just a blessing and a curse within itself, because it helped us be closer to our loved ones that we wouldn't even call, because we would just be too busy to pick a phone up sometimes and just say, hey, how are you? How you doing? But with this quarantine, I think it makes you pick the phone up more and be more with the more Southern hospitality, as I was told when I first came to Texas, that Southern hospitality was big. So everybody spoke to everybody, or if everybody knew everybody, they spoke. So I think that's what it did. It brought people, family, friends closer. Now, the other things that are transpiring, no. You're right. Being able to call home and check on your wife or your husband, because there's no room for anyone else. There's no room. I mean, I think that, like I said, this was more of a blessing than anything, because for a little bit, you would just keep it real. A side piece believed that they were it, and with this pandemic, it's like the Bible stepped in. Hey, honor your vows now. It's like it was like I said, a blessing and a curse. I hate to see the many that is gone. Rest in peace to those who passed from this pandemic, from Corona. Even if it was a small asthma attack that turned into something bigger. Rest in peace, and my heart goes out. But at the same token, if you think about it, you think about what came out of it positive. Like you said, Brandon, you got a $1,200 stimulus, and if you didn't take that and roll that into something, so at the end of the play, you have something there, something really that is tangible for yourself later on. Then I don't know, because as soon as you put the Jordan shoe on, you can't take it back. So I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. Hey, Crystal, you want to touch on that?
I do. I think that one of the things I always
say to myself during this whole thing is that I think everybody is going to have to, even if they're thinking about it, it's going to be self-defined what you come out of this with, and because we're all going to find different values in it. And for me, the most valuable thing I got out of this was time. And I told myself, when I prayed, I said, Crystal, one of the things you complained about for being at work was being trapped in my car, driving 1 hour to work and 1 hour back, and all of the things I could have done during that time. And then when I was at work, I was thinking of all the important things at home that I needed to do. And now I have that time, and I said, if you don't come out of this having checked some things off of your to-do list, I'm going to be disappointed in you. That's me to me. I'm going to be disappointed in you. Because there's so many things that I needed to do that I feel like I didn't have time for. And I think it made us focus on our health individually more, because this was literally threatening our lives. Like, I mean, the first thing we were thinking about was, well, we got to die.
Right.
And when we worked our way through that, or still working our way through that, we thought, okay, well, now that I'm here and I'm alive, well, what can I do? What do I do with this time, So we start finding stuff to do with our time, and our loved ones are here with us, those of us that are able to be quarantined with family, because that's another thing. Not everybody lives with somebody. Everybody's married with kids, and that was one of the things that worried me a lot, because my father lives alone. So I was like, okay, Lord, please watch over the people that are by themselves, because, they don't have anybody to watch over them, or vice versa. So sometimes you need that activeness. But one of the things that scares me the most right now is our children and the separation anxiety that they're going to go through when this is over and things kind of inch back to whatever this normalcy is. Because, of course, we know that they're going to eventually have to return to school, and some of us may have to return to work. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know if it's going to be full-time for, like, hey, all the kids will be in school Monday through Friday like that. Where am I going to be back in the office Monday through Friday like I was? But our children, and not leaving us out, but our children are going to go through a very, very traumatic situation. And it's not bloody, gory. I think the most traumatic things are the ones that don't leave any scars that we can see.
Right.
I think that our kids are gonna really be affected by this. So I'm really paying attention to them, like, man, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna be able to just kind of ease them in, like pre-K, kindergarten?
Right.
And what about those kids that didn't just start school this year?
Right.
Like, you had to kind of shove them little jokers through the door, crying inside.
Right.
And then you're like, hey, you back at home with me. Like, hey, then you gotta come back out. So it's like, it really is gonna be a process for them. But I think that the most valuable thing that we could create that I got from this was time. The money, definitely, I was blessed to continue working. I did do something smart with the money that I got, but the time. The time.
Right.
If I didn't get the money, I'm like, I still got this time, and
Right.
I'm still able to do some amazing things, and I'm still able to do some amazing things. And I hope that a lot of other people see it that way too. Even if you weren't able to get the money, I hope you were able to do something with the time.
Real. That's real.
That's very. You touched on a good point. Time. Because we be so busy in our life,
right?
And we just coming and going. We don't know which end is up sometime. And then the time you actually getting the quality time now to spend with your family, your kids. That's a good point.
Yeah. Like
I study opportunity, the pray opportunity.
Right.
When you move and you're like, man, I ain't got, you want to focus on your prayer, you want to focus on your meditation,
right.
you want to focus on your conversation. And now I got that, I'm like, I ain't even got nowhere to go.
I understand.
Exactly.
You can pray. Yeah, you can pray. You can pay attention to your prayer.
Exactly. You can pray without being disturbed. Yeah, I understand. I mean, I feel the same way. Like, in this with this virus, my mom, she can't come outside at all. She can't go to a store. She can't do anything because she has COPD. And I mean, she can just walk to the car, and it's an immediate. She loses her breath, and I think that was the hardest thing, because my mom is active. I mean, where you at? Oh, I'm in Killeen. Where you at? Oh, I'm in San Antonio. So she was super active, and then to go from not being active And now just sitting at the house, I think that sometimes it really takes her down. So just to have someone just to stop in now is like a, hey, how you doing? And my mom said she had never felt her age until now. And I told her, I said, nah, you're not your age. You're not your age. You're still the same person you were. The only thing is now you get the chance to sit down. You get a chance to rest some of them bones when you be talking about your back hurting because you done drove 7 hours somewhere and decide you want to come right back home. But it worries me because, well, she used to be able to go to the grocery store, and I think that was a highlight of her day, going to the grocery store and talking to everybody. Now she can't do none of that. And now her highlight is just getting in the car, bagging it up, and bringing it back forward because she don't want her car just still sitting there all day long. So
I think it helps
crazy.
out too.
It
We take a
does.
lot of things for granted.
We did.
And so
We
now it's
did.
making us, hey, now you got to okay, this is what you took for granted.
Hey,
Now it's
Nina.
coming in your face now. You got to deal with it. And, you got,
Right.
I mean, they're busy, you're like, oh, I don't feel like having company. Now you're looking for company.
Right.
You want that socialization.
Yeah. Sometimes you just like, oh, I ain't answering the door none today. And now, if the UPS man ring the door, but hey, how are you? Good? It's just like, I won't say you get tired of looking at the walls because you're enjoying that opportunity.
Yeah.
Like things that were not where we knew would never happen is happening.
Yeah.
Like being at home, and still getting the job done, and then being essential. That's even harder. So shout out to all the nurses and the doctors out there who are putting, being selfless and just being out there. I put my hats off
Our
to
truck drivers,
you.
they got to get the goods to us.
Mailmen trying to get it to us. Thank you guys. It's just you never really. You didn't take it for granted, but you just didn't look at it as that's not the essential. But let the trash man don't come.
Right.
Let him not come and see how you feeling when you got weeks and weeks of trash piled up in your garage or something. So, the small things that we took for granted, like being disrespectful sometimes to people in a grocery store, well, now there are essential workers. So now you got to be, thankful, because they're there. They didn't have to come to work. They could have been at home. So shout out to all the essential workers. We love you, love you, love you. I want to say that right off the top, because I never spoke to my mailman, and I'm going to tell you right now, I learned his name while this is going on. I know the UPS man name, the FedEx man name. Like they have become, the closest people to me right now. It's like, you got another package, Miss Cass. And I'm like, hey, how you doing, Gerald? Like we've been friends forever. And it wasn't like that. I think that this is a time where we're all becoming a little bit more of one.
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, I'm going to hit, what's actually going on. Like with all this rioting, I mean, goodness gracious, we have the opportunity to be one. So if we learn how to be a better voice, we wouldn't have to loot and riot. Like it just seems like when we're finally about to kumbaya, something happens. We get in our own way for real and made you like I'm going somewhere.
As far as that goes, I mean, I'll touch on what Crystal said and what I just said about you getting to know your postman and this and that. We're starting to see what the elderly, like you said, that live alone, that's what they do. They look forward to that Meals on Wheels person because they don't have anybody else to talk to. So we're starting to see what they actually go through, and some of us that might have not been as attentive to our loved ones, we now know what they deal with.
Right.
Like you just said about the rioting, as far as that, I'm definitely not condoning any of that, but I can say I understand the field of anger.
Right.
And just like we said, the Brenda touched on it, the hopelessness. Basically, you think about, we have turned the other cheek in every way we can turn.
Right.
So people are tired
of turning.
Again, not saying it's right exactly, but when the homeboy bought stuff at CNN building and caught that tear gas can stood in his hand and threw it back in that building.
Right. He tired.
He tired.
Mm-hmm.
And then even with all of this, I think it's the mayor in one of the cities has already come out and said that they discovered that they've been infiltrated anyway. So it's not all us that's doing it, but they're making it appear that it's us that's doing it.
Right.
So, so I'm still not gonna dog my people all the way. But I mean, every race has it. We have everybody got the bubbles in the family, in the race. So, but I mean, this is a lot. Y'all gotta think about it. Kaepernick took a knee, and boy, that just turned everybody upside down. Okay, so he's peaceful. We have hands up. Don't shoot. Something's wrong with us doing it that way.
Right.
If we go see, but you go back to Martin King Kingdom, okay, sitting at the camera, and what they do, beat the crap out of them and, put them in jail. But, I mean, so folks just tired. People are just tired. It's like, well, violence, it seems to be all y'all understand. And you look at the history of America, it seems like it's always taking a war to get somebody's attention.
Still trying to bring attention to the same stuff. Decades later.
Right.
Because that's magic.
Exactly. I agree. It's like, it's just too much. After a while, that more than plotting moves over, and it ends up happening, And now the difference is it's getting caught, on camera, because people are recording for it. But this is years of the same type of treatment,
Right.
I mean, a lot of people think it's something new, but it's not new. It's just years of the same kind of treatment that only is being captured on camera. And even after it's so blatantly caught, you still just let them go, like, oh, well, Brandon had, Cheetos in his hand, so he shouldn't have had the Cheetos. He might have stolen them. So I killed him. It's like, really?
But then you have to think of
the Cheetos.
But when you think about that, this is the thing. Okay, so we have attorneys, and those attorneys are elected to be judges. And some of these judges have been sitting in these seats forever. And like I can actually say, the one in Tarrant County, she's terrible. She just locked people up just for the heck of it. So with that, if you have so many people holding those seats like forever, I don't think justice is going to be taken care of, especially if we know that type of individual. If you've locked up so many Black Americans, that is your thing.
Yeah,
so when it comes down to protecting the blue, you're going to protect the blue. Why are you protecting them? Because you're in the bed with them. Not technically, not literally, but you're together in it.
Right.
So, I mean, it all goes back to what we talked about once before, and we always talk about it. This is an election year. Everybody, I've heard so many celebrities saying that they're not going to vote. I think that's idiotic. You need to vote, because if you don't, that no vote counts for some yeses that shouldn't even make it. Exactly. You're not even a voice. You're not even being heard. You can't hold the voting poll by not voting. You hold the voting poll by getting out there in big numbers, picking up granny and uncles and aunts and friends and all the above.
That's right.
Right quick, let me go ahead and introduce Pastor Cole. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing today?
I'm good.
I'm sorry. I'm highly favored and blessed of the Lord. I was sitting here watching some of the news at CNN, just kind of dumbfounded with some of the recent events. Not only with the arrest of the police officers, but just how we kind of prolonged the protesting into almost a riot.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And we're at the it's kind of like a culture is screaming at the top of their lungs, but we're still not being heard.
Right.
It's kind of weird, because we've had so many things happen here to our young people. So many things. I understand we're tired, and I understand the stance. But I don't understand the burning, and I don't understand tearing up. I mean, because you don't even know you could be tearing down your cousin's store. You just at that point you just can't be that angered. I think that when we get so angry like that, we just become ignorant. And I hate to say it like that. Be angry in a positive way so where they can feel us. You know, feel my presence. Feel my presence.
I think I understand exactly. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Pascal. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think I understand exactly where you're coming from. But if you look at the root word of the word angry, it means uncontrollable.
Right.
You cannot bridle anger. That's why so many times in the Bible, Paul and other apostles written about the Gospels of he said, a quiet answer turns away wrath.
Mm-hmm.
That's why so many scriptures talk about doing the opposite of anger. Because when we become angry, we become uncontrollable.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand, for the last 4 days, there has been a video clip being shown on every newscast in America of George Floyd on the ground begging for his life. He's telling the police officers, I cannot breathe.
Right.
My stomach hurts. He's crying for his mother. And in the backlog of that, you see a police officer, which is another color, come maybe from a whole different cultural background, that has his knee on his neck. And this man is so comfortable in the position that he puts his hands in his pocket.
Right.
If that doesn't make a person angry, I don't know what it is.
Right.
So what we're experiencing right now, we're experiencing a nation, a culture that is angry. You have to understand, this is not the first time humanity has ever got angry. The Jews, the Orthodox Jews, because they believe in Mosaic law, they were the only people that told the Gentiles, which were non-Jews, that hey, you could still go to heaven only if you believed in the gospel.
Right.
Well, that was the only other option they had. Right now, the only other option we have is God.
Right.
That's it. We can't depend on the president.
Correct.
We can't depend on our senators. We can't depend on our leaders.
Right.
The only other option we got at this point is God. The best thing we could do, I've heard a lot of elaborate responses about what's going on. And, you know, we've been overpromised and underdelivered for the last 400 years.
Right.
People have gained the cultural vote, and we've got nothing in return.
Right. That's true.
So we can't keep putting all our eggs in the basket with man. But what we have to do is we have to trust in God, because never have I seen the righteous forsaken or a seed begging bread. One thing I will remind you, the people of God, in this season of pandemic, in this season of famine, I want to leave the panel with this. In this season of what we're going through with the coronavirus, every time the people of Israel had to go through a famine, they always prospered.
Mm-hmm.
They never went without. They never went without food because God rained down manna. They never went thirsty.
Right.
In this season of famine, in this season of being in a depression, in this season of being in a recession, none of God's people will suffer. That's why you still see some of the saved people, some of the Christian people buying new cars.
Right.
That's why you got friends signing new houses. That's why you got people who have never bought things, making major purchases in the middle of a pandemic.
Correct.
Never have I seen the righteous forsaken or his seed begging bread.
Right.
Because what God has done, he's turned the table.
Right.
Now now the saints are living off the wicked. For so long, the wicked have been living off the saints.
The first will not always be last. You know, the first will be last, and the last will be first.
That's what be first. That's right. That is so right. That's right.
I don't believe we have to lose our hope. I don't believe that we've got to a point with the situation as far as the protesting and the riots that our hope is lost. I don't believe we're at that point, because I believe if we were at that point, we wouldn't be able to be comfortable in our own homes.
Right.
Right.
They would have probably already issued a martial law against American citizens. But I believe that if my people, God said in Corinthians 7:14, if my people shall humble themselves and pray. He said He will heal the land.
Mm.
I believe that right now is a season of prayer. Right now is a season of revival. The reason we don't have revival anymore, as a kid, I used to always go to church during the week with my mom because
Right.
it was always a revival going on. The reason
Yes,
we
it
don't see
was.
revivals in churches no more
That's
is
right.
because people don't bring their sins to the altar no more.
That's true.
Right.
I mean,
That's
I
true.
hate to just,
That's true.
you know, I hate to take it to church, but I just got to be honest. I have to be transparent because I can't help you if I lie to you.
Right.
You know, racism is not something that you can. It's not a lifestyle. It's something that's taught to a child.
That is
Mhm,
correct.
that's true.
That is correct.
That's right.
And it's taught to a child by passive behavior.
Correct.
That's
The
right.
same way,
That's
the
right.
same way, if our sinful behavior become passive to others in our life that love us, then we will never be corrected.
Hmm.
That's why God said I had to turn the people over to a reprobated mind because they thought their sinful life was normal.
Mm.
So we get so comfortable in a thing. And let me just say this: I want to be fair because I believe that I like to pack fair. I like to put all the cards on the table. Not only is the Anglo culture they are accused of raising their children in racism, in racist environments,
Mhm.
and they're passive to racist behavior. But we, as a black culture, we have also become prejudiced. We have become prejudiced because of the behavior of the Anglo culture.
Correct.
Not only do the Anglo culture need to re-examine themselves and have the re-examination conversation, and the reason I'm using the word re-examine, the scripture says in Corinthians, let a man examine himself.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have some hard conversations in our household with our children.
Yeah, we do.
We gotta be honest with them. We gotta tell them, baby, every police is not a good person.
That's
Right.
correct.
we got to be honest with our kids. We can't tell our kids, hey, if you lost, run to the firefighter, run to the police officer.
Correct.
You know, run to the mailman because 26 years ago, the most trusted occupation in the United States was either a minister or a police officer.
Correct.
Now, both of those occupations are now the most untrusted.
Correct.
That's correct.
So we have to be transparent. I didn't want to take over the counter, but that's just why.
Then you're fine.
We do not mind. We always love to hear from you. Always love to hear from you.
Amen.
Mm-mm-mm.
Look, you speak the truth.
I'm kind of, even though I'm a man of the cloud, I'm kind of caught up in my flesh right now because a part of me want to go downtown right now.
Right.
Right.
But the Holy Spirit is telling me be still.
Right.
But that man, that old man is me and say, hey, you need to be down there with your people. But I have to look. I have to depend on God because God. I understand that promises that He's made. I know one thing about the covenant of God, the agreement of God. God will keep His promise to us, whether we keep our promise to Him.
That is so true. Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
That's so true.
That's about it.
Well, I love to hear you speak.
Yeah.
I love to hear you speak. It just the history. If anybody don't know, now you know.
Right.
Me and him, we have history. I
Me
came
too.
to Texas at 6 years old, so me and him have history.
Like been around.
I can walk out my back door
and walk straight into mine. So just to see the beauty of the transformation, it always keeps a smile on my face. And when I hear you speak, I always tell anybody, if you want to hear a good word, I mean, I love my church, but when I'm in the mood for a different word, I always go and I make sure I'm listening to you. So I always thank you for what you come through with. And I love how your analogies are and how you break things down. I just love it. I love it. It makes you think deeper, and you know what I'm saying? And I like the fact that we all have an opinion, but it all rolls back into the same thing. We, as a people, we gotta do something different. And number one is keep God first, because it ain't nothing we can do without Him. I mean, even though we're sitting here on Facebook Live and on the radio, and even though it only takes what my pastor said, it only takes for you to just tell God, I'm sorry.
Right.
Just I'm sorry.
Right.
And we can start, a process is started. So anytime I know I've done something wrong, the first thing I do is I try to always ask, was I wrong? And then once I figure it out, I'm always apologizing and saying I'm sorry, because whenever it is his time for me to go home, I want to make sure that I actually go home. I don't get stopped at the gate. So I do thank you every single time you get on with us, Pastor Cole. We just love it. Truly, truly. I appreciate you coming on. And even at the last second, we just love it.
Bless you. Do you mind if I give a quick announcement?
Correct. No, go ahead.
Amen. God bless you. June 20th, our men, our brotherhood, we will be in front of Austin Street Shelter, because I know that the body of the church is not the walls of the church, but it's the people of the church. So we're bringing the church to the street.
Okay.
June 20th at 10 a.m. we'll be outside the gate at Austin Street Shelter. We'll be giving away hygiene. We'll be giving away food. But most importantly, we'll be giving away the Word of God.
Amen.
And I just ask that if you're a prayer warrior, man, you come out and disciple with us and let your witness be effective to somebody who may have lost hope, somebody who is getting ready to throw in the towel. Because I just want to let people know the church is not closed.
Right. Amen.
And matter of fact, the church was never closed.
Amen.
Unless you close your heart to God. Amen.
Amen.
But yes, my name is, I'm Vertis Cole, Senior Pastor, Infinite People of God. We're located at 1635 West Division Street. That's Suite A as an apple. And that's Arlington, Texas, 76012. And remember, much prayer, much power. No prayer, no power.
Amen.
Little prayer, little power.
Amen.
God bless you.
God bless you.
Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go back to our special guest, Brandon.
Thank y'all for having him on.
We love him. And he always come on time.
You're right.
Yeah, he always come on time. We always try. It is a beautiful thing to always have a man perspective in anything. Women, we're going to throw it out there. But to get a man to give his perspective and throw out his feelings, that's a beautiful thing. I always appreciate it. You're always welcome. You're always welcome on Let's Sip Tea. Note that, Brandon.
Yes, Brandon.
Always welcome. You are.
We would love to hear
welcome.
from you.
Right.
Whatever you have, events you have going on, let us know. We'll get it out there. We'll spread it out.
We'll do.
We will spread it.
It was something else. Crystal, are you still on, hon? Yes.
I'm still here.
Hey, Crystal J, what did you think about that? Baby, he made me stop. Okay.
I think it's wonderful. I think anytime, one of the things I always try to tell myself, and I know I don't have these conversations outside of my own head a lot, is that we're really watching God work right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really try to, share my visual of that with a lot of other people. I think that my relationship with God is my relationship with God, and I love it that way. But I really do feel like we are watching God, like literally watching God work. And I mean, when I'm talking about looking at nature every day, looking at how, we are responding to waking up every day. Like, one of the things I noticed about myself is that I'm waking up a whole lot better. Right. I used to wake up with an attitude all the time. I don't like being woke up. Like really, let me wake up on my own. If you wake me up, I'm going to have an attitude. Right? I've been waking up like, hey. Like, you mean? Like, okay, I'm good. I'm feeling good. And I feel like, even though all these bad things are happening, God is still working.
Yes.
God is still with us. God is still present. But I think sometimes it really is a wake up call or an alarm to say, with all of this still going on, do you still hear me? Do you still see
Yes.
me? Do you still feel me? Because I'm still here. I never left. And that's what I mean about the time. I have time to listen to what God is telling me. I have time to talk to God now. I have time to be like, hey, you know what, little girl, little 15-year-old, come on, we're going to sit down here and listen to what God has to tell us. And of course, she can't hear nothing. She can't hear nothing. It's like, well, I don't hear anything, Crystal. I don't know what's going on. But I think it's important that we do recognize that. I think one of the other things is making sure that one of the things I had to understand for myself is that God isn't going to give my order of steps to anybody else.
But you.
So, and vice versa. So, when somebody tells me, hey, you know, Crystal, this is the way I'm going to do it, or this is the way I see it, I might disagree. And I had to stop and think, Crystal, God ain't gave your steps to nobody else, so ain't nobody telling you to move left, right, or the other way. God gave so-and-so they steps the way they supposed to have them.
Right.
They could be going in what you think is the wrong direction, but sometimes you got to fall down, you got to mess up, because you don't know which direction is the direction you're supposed to go sometimes until you go the wrong direction.
Right.
So I think having him on, having that voice, having that, I think sometimes it's the way that certain people say it. Sometimes you need the perspective of somebody who's actually seen the struggle from where you've seen it.
Right.
One of the things that I used to bump heads a lot with my parents and my aunts was that a lot of the pastors were older, and I feel like they couldn't connect. You know, they didn't really understand what my struggle was and how it was different from theirs.
Right.
So I respected everything that they gave me, but I tried to communicate that I can't use it. I mean, I feel like, you know, it just doesn't apply to me. And then, you know, after you get older and you walk on your own and you realize, you know what, again, my message from God isn't going to come through anybody else. It's going to come through me, but I got to be listening. I got to want to have it. I got to want to hear it. And right now I feel like God is working. God is telling me, Crystal, guess what you got? You got time. All that complaining you did about driving and traveling, all that complaining you was doing about being at work and not being able to be at home and focus on the stuff you want to focus on. Here you go, baby. I gave it to you.
He gave it to you.
I gave it to you.
Now what you
Both
gonna do?
hands. Both hands.
You can't get none without losing something.
That's true.
Life.
Right.
So there was a lot I had to give up. You know, you had to sit down somewhere. The law ain't open. You know, the law
Right.
ain't open. You wanted time. I had to give it to you, but I had
Right.
to take it from somewhere else. You know, it's a balance. So I'm like, okay,
Correct.
God, I hear you. I'm listening. I appreciate this. I'm like, yeah, I got it. I'm like, Mama, I heard you. You know, y'all up there. I get it. But I got a question for Brandon. Is he still on with us?
Yes,
He's still on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. One of the things that I told my aunt that I want to focus on, because she had us on a call about what are we understand what needs to be done. We understand what's bothering us. We understand what we are unhappy with right now. What are we gonna do about it? And it was the first time that being on a call that somebody was like, Crystal, what you gonna do? And my response to her was that I really want to be able to understand local government more and how to communicate and educate that to my peers, because I think one of the things, and I know that you're in a different state, but I think that roughly all of these offices and positions kind of work the same. You have federal, you have state, you have city, you have municipality, and you have local government, and you have county. I don't think most of us that go vote, we don't understand how effective our local voting operation is. I really want to educate myself on that so that I can educate my peers, because I think that we don't. It's one thing to tell somebody to get out there and vote,
right,
but when they don't know how, I think that's where we lose everybody. When we be like, hey, you need to go vote. Well, when I go vote and I see the same people, even after I voted, it confuses us. Why? Because nobody has ever taught us how to vote. They just told us to do it. And local government is the most readily or most closely effective action to us. You know, we can vote, you know, presidentially all day, but, you know, as long as we got the electoral college, ain't nothing gonna happen.
Right.
But I feel like our local government is what touches us the fastest and the most often. But I really, how do, Brandon, my question to you, because I feel like I'm going around it, how do you think I can, learn it and be able to translate that to the people around me?
Okay. I mean, here's one way I kind of look at it here in Milwaukee and in Wisconsin with us. And I tell people best correlation. Like, county supervisors don't really do anything. supervisors actually determine what your parks are going to look like.
Mm-hmm.
County supervisors determine if the park's going to have the money to be kept up during the summer near your house.
Mm-hmm.
County supervisors determine if there's new backboard going on the course with your kids' football. You know, you got your aldermen. They're making the decisions with how much of your property taxes are going to go fund your public schools. They're making the decisions to put the referendums on the table about funding your public schools.
Right.
You know, people always tell you, rock the vote, the president, vote for president, vote for president, vote for president. The closer overarching policies that impact us on the day-to-day life comes from city and county government.
There you go.
You know, your county executive is going to determine that your county sheriff's department stops invoking the stop and frisk policy.
Right.
Your county executive is who's going to determine where the money is coming from for body cameras on the sheriff's department. Your mayor is going to determine if we even need to have a fire and police commission. How are we going to fund our police department? Right. When mayors say that, if a mayor says that I'm campaigning and I'm going to issue an executive order that's some ill, profound, to them, to the conservatives, some profound legislation or some profound policy that adversely impacts Black and brown individuals or people of color. Mm-hmm. When the mayor comes in office and says, I'm taking an executive action and we're going to immediately stop that, you know, you don't think you want to take some type of note into the local municipal election at that point?
Right.
It's the presidential stuff is very important. It's very important. But determining how we're policed locally, how our sheriff's department and constables, officers are going to police us, that comes down to your local election.
Right.
Right.
The judges that are going to sentence you, that comes down to your local election.
That is correct. That is so correct.
And that's one of the things that I really want to focus on, because there are a lot of positions that are elected. There are a lot of positions that are appointed. And learning the difference between those. Like, I mean, we have a somewhat of a trend of the same county commissioners, and I'm not saying that they're good or bad, but what I'm saying is my need right now may be different from the needs that you were able to fulfill 20 years ago, and not that you're a bad commissioner, but it's just that at this point you're not effective.
Right.
And I think that sometimes when you talk about when you had that voting
you say, Brandy, she said it very tactfully.
It's like, hey,
I'm running against the 20-year incumbent.
You know what? It's kind of weird on that, because when unfortunately, I'm huge on being an activist. I actually go to Austin with the union every other year. Mm-hmm. And when you go to Austin and they don't have time to talk to you and they know you're coming, those are the first people on the list that I write down that I know should not sit there anymore. I'm a constituent. You should have a conversation with me. Without me, without my friends, and without everybody who works for, especially when you're state, you wouldn't have that seat. So if you don't have the time to talk to me, I feel like you're the first person that needs to be gone. And the thing about it is, you spoke on a couple of people that's been sitting in some seats for some time.
Yeah.
Do you not know that there's no one that wants to run against them? That's what the problem is. No one wants to run against them. They're a household name now. So it's like when you spoke on that, one of those individuals, we're not going to call any names out because one of them I'm actually close to, but no one will vote against him. So it's almost like he is mentoring someone to take his seat when he's tired. And then that person will run against him and eventually he will lose. But the thing about it is, when you're being mentored and you're being mentored the exact same way that the person who came up out of that chair, we get the same thing over and over and over again. You know, it was weird because a while when I first started with the state, I had ran for city councilman. I got enough votes, but I didn't have enough money to back me up. For anybody that didn't even notice my name was on the list. I said when I get the opportunity, I will do it again. And I am. I'm going to do it again because I knew I could get at least on there to be voted, but I just didn't have the money to bag me up to be chosen. So that was a lot. That's a lot of things that transpire in there. I mean, they've seen the name on there.
Can I stop you for a second when you said that?
Mm-hmm.
Please make sure you do it again.
I am.
See, here's the thing, is that we have this. The pastor just kind of touched on it. The pastor really just touched on it. So when you move in a direction where you're taking a directive, you hear me? Like, listen to what I'm saying. When you move in a direction where you're taking a directive, you feel like my direction is God-given, God-blessed, and God-ordained. I know what I'm doing is right. I know what I'm doing is just. I know I'm picking up a mantle, not just for myself, but for any number of people. Don't let the money deter you. Right. You know, I had an idea about a ministry because my church that I love, my pastor, my bishop that I love, but you started preaching a message that made me and a lot of people feel like outcasts of the denomination. That's the name of our ministry, Outcast Church. Obediently unwavering. But when people told me don't do it, people told me that I couldn't do it. Let me tell you, like, we were blessed with $1 million building with no money. So you have to understand that when you listen and you discern what you're supposed to be doing in the path that you're going to go on, every resource that you need is going to be laid at your feet. I didn't have the money to run for a Senate race, but let's look at what happened. The world shut down. Right. I know I got the money for web hosting. I know I got the money to get a couple flyers out there. I may not be able to do billboard and stuff like that, but guess what? None of that stuff is going to make a difference in this particular cycle.
Right.
You know, it's just, it's something to me when you follow the God task that everything just falls. Whether it's strong towers falling at your feet or the next leg up and the step stool and the next resource falling at your feet, stuff falls. Right. So the next time you do that, don't let money deter you. Because you don't know what your opponent or the incumbent that you're running against, what they dealing with, how they ain't got no money for real either.
True. Right. That's true.
You just have to listen. Because if that's on your heart, and that's what you're being compelled for, that's what we call discernment. That's what you need to be listening.
Thank you. I said I was going to do it again.
I didn't mean to go left.
No. I said I was going to do it again. Like I said, I was not a household name at that time. It was like, oh, okay. And I was, I took it as a blessing just being on there.
David wasn't a household name. David was not a household name. David could have been pulled from the field by King Saul.
Right.
But he was not. David became
nobody was a household name before. Yeah.
Girl, you get your don't look at it as I don't have a name, I'm a nobody, because nobodies are who do God's greatest work.
Yep.
So was Moses, so was Noah.
Thank you.
I mean, nobody didn't know nobody until you got started. So
that's hard. And God will put you where He needs you to be
in
order to be that infiltrator. You know what I mean? Like, it's the reason why you're working for the state. You may not have the money, but you're making all types of networking, resources, friends, alliances, allegiances. People are seeing you, but you, just by you doing your job and what you know to do.
Right.
That might be enough for them to want to support you your next go around. I know she does the work. I know what she's about. I know what she stands for. I know when she says something is going to get done. That's something that money can't buy.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true. And I mean, Brenda, do you suggest even people just go sit in on court cases and stuff like that just to try to learn, some of these little trickeries and ins and outs of the justice system?
Well, right now, majority of our courts are closed.
Right, but I'm just saying,
But even if I'm not probably the best person to speak to. I'm going to tell you why, because I literally read laws and legislation like to learn. You know what I mean? Like, I bust out bills that are currently being voted on just to know what people are trying to do.
Right.
I readily read through my state laws on
Watching
employment
Channel
discrimination.
13 like a
So that I
nerd.
know I'm equipped to help
Trying to see
anybody.
what the
So,
next
so there's
proposition
the
really
idea
is.
right there. Yeah, then have them read. Like
Right.
you said,
Yeah, I tell everybody
stop
read
watching Love and
Hip hop.
Yeah,
just read.
yeah, and housewife, be a housewife, just read. She, you know, my
Right.
marriage.
I'm gonna watch
And I watch New
Yeah,
York,
you,
so I'm sorry,
you
but
read
yeah.
with it. But I'm saying, y'all, you
I
read
binge
with
it.
it. You know, I mean, when you allow that to be your whole source, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
You know,
That becomes
it's
their
like,
reality,
yeah,
and they're not reading. That's really what it is.
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
And it's really funny because you know, we have the different stations on cable that tells you exactly, you know, what proposition is what and what proper. And then when you get right there in the voting, it's like a blank.
Right.
Dang, was that proposition 1 or proposition 2? You know what I'm saying? You just get a blank. And then, like one lady had said, I eeny, meeny, miny, molded. And I said, hey, okay. Well, exactly. Because if you don't put a vote there, it's going to go to what they want it to go anyway. So when I was like, you know, it's on different channels. It just pops up just out of nowhere to just pop up, especially on the channels where DISD tells you all their information. It sits right there on different propositions. They'll just chunk it out
You know,
there.
you can write it down and take it with you to
Right.
remember.
Right. But a lot of people just don't. I think they think it's a test or something.
Right.
But people don't know. But they think, you know, when I go to the voting registration, I go to vote. I'm just supposed to come with my ID. That's not true, because when I couldn't remember which one of those judges that I just knew did not need to sit there anymore, I wrote her name down. And I had that so close to me, it was ridiculous. And when I saw her name, I voted for her opponent. She needs to be gone. She needs to be gone. You know, it's no way that you judge a book by its cover.
When you wrote her name down, you stood on there, you know that. You let your friends know.
I do.
Your colleagues that you cool.
I do.
Good.
Because when I went to
like you gotta have an each one reach one mentality.
Right. That's it. You do.
Right. Because I was when we went down to Austin and just listening to the different people, and like I said, I don't want to call their names out, but it was one in particular who just sat there bald-facedly and just lied. And it was like, okay, we called you like 2 weeks ago. No, you didn't call me. No, we called you. I spoke directly to you. Well, what's your name? I gave her my name. She was like, oh, you know what? I do recall speaking to you. But that's all you stated.
Now, let me tell you this other little tidbit just to that. Here in our state, every legislative office has to maintain a contact database called Forward. They have to log every constituent piece of mail, every constituent phone call, every piece of contact from a constituent has to be logged in the Forward. But that's because of our open records law. So, you know, we had a kid prison here that someone called. I was a legislative director at the time, and someone called, got a hold of me saying, hey, kids are being abused at this prison. I told my boss, she said, that's not our problem. Give it to the Secretary of the Department of Corrections. Well, the Secretary of the Department of Corrections had been covering this stuff. So if we hadn't had to log that contact in that database, it would have never come out. It's coincidentally the person I'm running against, my former boss, you were contacted about this going on.
Right. Right.
Wow. Okay.
That's crazy.
So that's the thing. You know, you check there because I can hear, you know, the engagement in your voice. That's where it becomes useless. I'm going to pull this open records request where I contacted your office. I'm posting this all over Facebook. Fact check, you know, I'm my own fact checker.
Right, because we tend to tell them, hey, like, it was really weird how we all came together. Right quick, I want to welcome. How you doing? We have another caller. How are you doing? I'm gonna get to you right just a second. We had to tell each individual within, you know, just teachers, the whole 9 yards. Hey, call your legislator, leave them a voicemail, and let them know, hey, you want a raise. You know, it's been 5 years. You want a raise. It was funny how some people just thought that they was like, oh, we didn't get those calls. It's about 10,000 individuals that probably call, not just you, but every last one of those legislators. So you got some voicemails that you're not checking, but it's just crazy. And then we turn around and they say, well, send them a quick letter. Literally, like, I love the union because they'll give them an envelope. Hey, take this envelope, mail it with this piece, and send it off. Love the union. Been on it since I walked in the door. A true advocate on it. Never stop being an advocate for it, because when I look at it every single day and I see everything that's transpiring and going on, I do know that I have two grown sons and their faces are darker than mine. And I just need to make sure that they're safe, their friends are safe, and the outside people, every male is safe. So I'm working hard in my head. How do I go to the next level? What do I do next? How do I do this next? What do I do next? And it was funny because when we decided to sit down and just even have this type of platform, it was a vision, and I had to thank God every day, because we meet so many different people to just learn something different. Just to learn something different, just to have you on the phone is just, it's refreshing. So I just want to thank you for that. DeMarco?
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
All right.
Your input on our conversation today.
On the quarantine?
Mm-hmm. On the quarantine, just what's going on out here, how households are being closer, how people are getting closer in their religion to God.
Well, the with this pandemic going on, this was, if people really paid attention, back in 2019 on January, they signed a bill for this to become. So this is something that the government already knows what's going on, that was going to happen. I pay attention to a lot to the things that I see. So, the effect of this is hurt a lot of businesses, small and big. Not by them giving the big business all this money to keep operation. That's something that should be expected, not a surprise. Because we all know that the people with the money want to make the economy flow. So I don't think to me, I'm not surprised about it, but the way that the man that's leading this country, I never call my president, how he's leading this country is totally irresponsible.
Do you think that, I mean, let's think about it. If he's being irresponsible, then we're irresponsible as a people. Because we allowed it to happen. We allowed that one person who didn't vote, that didn't think it was going to count. Yeah, it probably would have.
Well, the we as people, when we vote, when this guy first ran for president, I took it as a joke. So I was like, of course, he's just saying things people nobody else is saying. That they want to say it. They want to say it, but they don't have the courage to say it. And we meet, and then, so I don't think, I honestly believe that this election was stolen. It was stolen. I mean, all vote was in the pudding, but all the evidence is being ignored. So, like I said, I think this is irresponsible by both parties, not just him. I'm not gonna put it all on him, because for him to fire the department to keep us safe and keep us from getting these diseases, but for the Senate and the House representatives to let this stuff happen, that's crazy.
I'm gonna tell you what
I think. He doesn't have all the power. He doesn't have all the power like that, but some things come to a vote.
You know what I seen today was kind of crazy for me. I saw a commercial, and the commercial was actually selling the mask. Because of course it's almost, if you're in the store, you can't get them. I mean, I remember I could buy them in boxes and just have them at home, but now I'm down to the last one. And it's kind of weird because now they're selling them same masks that I had been buying all this time, and it was like for $29.99, and you only got 10. And I was like, what was so significant about it? If it was still, where we, oh Lord, my mind went bright, where we could still throw it away. And it was because there's supposed to be something different in it. I mean, it's funny how we put a spin on anything to make money. We put a spin on anything. I mean, hats off to the people who make them. Hats off, because you guys do a wonderful job. Because I know I bought a few. I bought a few. So hats off to the ones that make them. Because, the disposable ones, they're actually getting higher and higher and higher and higher. I'm going to step out so you can switch it.
And
I
Crystal?
think that's one of the beautiful things that came out of this whole thing was that a lot of people who were may have been stumped with business opportunities that may have been jobless at the time or just needed extra money. This was a e-commerce opportunity for them in making these masks. I mean, grandmamas came out, stand up, seamstress came out, like
Right.
let us do something, and we saw it happening. And I mean, for something that we actually need, and I feel like this is one of the golden opportunities too, because you had a lot of people that just some people just was like, man, this is an opportunity for me to make some money. I know how to sew. And just think about when all that, several years ago, when sewing your own clothes just kind of left, right. It's like, okay, guess what? I got to bring back this sewing machine. I can do something with it. And I felt like that was a beautiful opportunity. I mean, I applaud everybody who was able to take advantage of the opportunity to make the mask, to sell the mask. I mean, you got some people that feel a whole lot safer because, like you said, the actual medical grade gear was limited and in short supply, and pretty much became non-existent. But then you have, those that you can reuse. I mean, they look nice. I mean, I just think it was just a golden opportunity, and I love it, man. Just hats off to everybody that stepped up and, just to give yourself something to do, whether you gave them away or whether you sold them. It shows that as a people, we know how to respond.
Right.
And to me, that was one of the most beautiful things. It's like, okay, we responded in a positive way. Like, hey, we ain't got no mask. Okay, I can make that.
Right.
People that didn't even do anything to do with mask or cloth or breathable material. When the Science Plus guy came out and was like, look, we're gonna use all of our plastic material to make masks for people, actual shields for people. I'm like, that was a blessing, because they could have been like, man, we're going to keep our material for when the economy opens back up and we can sell out of it. Right. But people were just actually like, you know what, we're going to make this stuff and we're going to give it away. And I felt like that was one of the most positive and most economical responses we could have had.
Yeah. When you see people coming together like that, that's why I said, like, I hate what happened especially what happened here on yesterday. I hate that. And to hear, like, I'm real funny when it becomes like Facebook Live and they're fighting. I don't like to watch that type of stuff. And so a friend reached out and was like, you need to see that. And I was like, see what? And how it started. And it was like, okay, someone started a racial slur and went from there. It just got out of hand. And I was just like, okay, do I really want to keep watching? And I didn't. So when I woke up this morning to hear how many places in Deep Ellum was, broken into and broke it just, and left like that, because the owners had no way of knowing that their places were just messed up like that. One bar, it was like a bar and grill, the door, all the way from the door all the way to the end, like, wow, were you mad? What exactly? I mean, you started one place and you didn't take anything. Why are we vandalizing so badly? I get it, but at the end, we're going to pay that back. We're going to pay that some kind of way. We're going to pay it back some kind of way.
Well, I just had this discussion about an hour ago about how the vandalism and you end up hurting ourselves. Now, luckily this time it didn't Right. Things, folks like Rodney King, but everything riot. You know, they burn down everything in their neighborhood, but then have to go out, you know, to go buy groceries and things like that. Right. And just, I agree with you. Why burn down something or tear something down? And I say, if you don't burn something down, go burn the courthouse down.
Mm-hmm. I mean, not giving anybody any ideas, but just, but why tear down a place that I could own, or, you know, Crystal could own, or, you know, Nicole could own? Why tear that down? Because, you know, it's still a lot of black businesses down there in Deep Ellum. There's a lot of Caucasian businesses, but there's a lot of black businesses down there, and some of them are very new. So, yeah, just going through and just tearing down the little expensive community at that. That community is very, very expensive, you know, because they put a lot of money into Deep Ellum. So to have it messed up like that, it was just like, oh, wow. I mean,
they got the insurance.
You know what? I'm gonna say this, and it may be disrespectful to some, and I do apologize. You're banking on someone else's insurance, and I read it today too, and I started laughing. But you don't even have life insurance.
Right.
You don't even have life insurance that costs $10 to bury yourself, and you're banking on someone else to get their insurance to take care of something that I'm gonna have to say that we did. When you don't even want to go buy insurance for yourself to ensure that you don't have a burden on family. So why be a burden on a community, or why be a burden to the state or just our city? Like, that's crazy. It's crazy because when and you know I cannot pronounce his name, but when the young man had got killed in his apartment, did anybody do this? Did anyone do this? But what about the baby who died in Box Springs and he was shot at a party? Did anybody do this? Did we? No. We did this for a whole different state for a stand-up. We should have stood up here when it happened here. That's my thing. When it's happening here, we should do it here at that time and not wait years or 2 weeks or months to go by. You know, I think we're just playing follow the leader and nothing's going on here. And now I just think that we went in a weird red states. We're going to have a huge flashlight now. And I'm not ready to duck and dodge and, you know, what is it? 12 and 2? I mean, 10 and 2? Come on.
Well, we did have some pockets. We did have pockets of demonstrations for both of those here in Dallas. You know, if they were peaceful pockets, so perhaps that's why you're not aware of them. But we did.
No, I'm talking about. I'm talking about going straight to Dallas County and standing like they did, because it started off very nice. I applauded them, and then I turned it off. I was like, "Ooh, okay," and I turned it off, just to find out that only an hour later, that's what it became.
I think that sometimes we got to look at a lot about. We know what is happening, but I think especially for our young folks, we have to understand why it's happening. So we know that there's looting and there's rioting and there's theft and they're burning down, you know, businesses. One of the things that I look at with our kids and our teenagers, and I kind of relate back to myself at that age, was that, and it's a mixture of age groups. It's a mixture of demographics, that they're running out of ways to respond. I don't agree, but I understand. And we haven't communicated to them. And not that it is our collective responsibility, but it is, my first responsibility is to me, to say, Crystal, how do you respond to this? As a 38-year-old Black woman, I know that my response to this is not going to be effective to go down to Deep Ellum and burn down somebody's business, because for me, nothing tomorrow will be different. But to an 18-year-old, they're going to turn around and look at that and go, I was there. I was part of the movement. They don't understand how effective it was or how ineffective it was. They don't understand how to respond. And guess what? I don't even know what to tell 18-year-olds in 2020 of how to respond. So I understand that it's not helping, and we hurting people that own their own businesses, and, you know, how they going to rebuild tomorrow. But sometimes you got to turn some shit down in order to build it up.
That part.
And this is what it is. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying I'm a
okay with it. I'm just saying that I understand.
Right.
And that's just what it is. Sometimes you got to turn some shit up in order to build it, turn some shit down in order to build it back up. And that's what they're doing. Because, see, people stop responding to peaceful protests.
Right.
I stood there quietly and showed you, here I am. And I said, here I am. You weren't listening to me. You turned away from me. But when I struck that match,
that's where you listen.
It seemed like everybody started paying attention to me. And that's what kids understand. And the moment that we as adults understand that, the moment these politicians understand that, the moment our pastors understand that, the police understand that, the military, they gonna get it. Because these kids, they not like we were. They not scared.
They have no fear.
I was scared. I was like, look,
they have no fear.
I ain't girl. They don't. She ain't opening that door. If I ain't out here with school now, if I ain't at work, I'm gonna get left. Those are the things that I was afraid of. These kids ain't afraid of nothing, man. And it's good. I think they're galvanized in a different way than we were. The fact is, we gonna lose some people anyway. You know what? Ain't nothing gonna change. If we left Target in Minnesota standing, we still gonna be in the same position tomorrow. So I don't want to communicate to these kids that, hey, I'm okay with you out here looting. I'm okay with you out here stealing. I'm okay with you out here burning up the precinct. But what I'm saying to you is, I understand.
I get it.
I mean,
that's what they need to hear.
I get it.
We understand, and not like, okay, well,
what
you're going through, we're gonna arrest you. No, I understand. Come here. I understand. Let's work it out together. I understand, because ain't nobody telling them that.
And then they feel like they don't have no voice.
Well,
they don't have a voice. I heard that a lot with the generation. I have no voice. So if you're not listening to what I'm telling you, then you're not hearing me. Like you said, they feel like they have no voice. So again, they are going to destroy some things for you to hear them. And I get what you're saying. I understand that too, because they feel that way. We have young men now that is in their 20s feel like they have no voice to their parents, their siblings, to nobody, because they feel like their parents, their siblings are not listening. So what they do?
Look at my kids when they cry.
Well,
they throw tantrums. They like, you know what? Ain't nobody listening to me. I said it.
Right.
I was hungry, and then nobody fed me. But once I get in this flow and throw this tantrum, I got everybody's
attention.
Okay, so this is my thing. Like, I have that 18-year-old, okay? And I do. and anybody who knows him knows that he ain't got no fear factor in him at all. And I think that's the part that scares me the most, because he does not have that fear of nothing. Trying to have a conversation, we have one. When he makes that comment, well, Mama, you don't understand because you're this age and I'm this age. See, at this age, I don't think you had to go through what I'm going through. And I always tell him, some of the things you guys are going through, for real, I wouldn't know how to, because I didn't get the opportunity. And I get where you at. But at the end of the day, sometimes in order to be heard, I hear you, because I always have to tell him, I hear you, son. I hear you. And then my son will ask me this question. He says it every time we're talking. He said, but Mama, are you listening?
Right. That part.
And when I tell him yes, we have a whole different type of communication going on. So I get the concept. I just hate the fact that on the rebuild, it's going to kill a lot of pockets. It's going to tear up a lot of things. It's going to make, just think about it. Back in the day when everybody was having these hit and runs, they're doing a hit and run, but they're doing it on themselves. Them insurance frauds. And then look at us now. I remember when my dad said that his insurance was like $52. I was like, $52 for full coverage? Wow. And now my dad is 72 years old. And he's still paying, he's not paying $50 anymore. He's like at $70-something. And that's because people made a choice to run up insurance scams. So it's just like that what we're going through right now. We're making a choice. We're going to pay for it later. That's all I'm saying. I get the concept. I do. I really do. I really do, because
back in the day, I'm gonna bring this full circle for you right quick. Back in the day when everybody was running those insurance scams, at the time the state of Texas did not have a mandatory liability insurance law. Now we do, and guess what? That led to something good. So at the end of the day, we gonna pay for it later. We also gain something, and we don't see that now. We don't see that now. Right now we see the loss. When we were running them insurance scams, we didn't see the loss. We were like, man, this is insurance gonna go up. But at the time, it also impacted, somebody made a change and was like, look, now everybody in the state of Texas, it is a law that you have a minimum of liability to full coverage insurance. Something came out of that. Something is going to come out of this. Something has to come out of this. Something will come out of this. Because guess what? Ain't nowhere else to go. Ain't nowhere else for us to go.
Right.
So something has to come out of this. So the circle is going to be made full. So that analogy you just gave us, yeah, back in the gap, everybody was running up these insurance scams. We were doing the hit and run. Hey, hit me from the back. We're going to collect this insurance money and keep it moving. And now everybody pays a higher price. But we also gain something. So later on down the road, when these businesses have to rebuild, they're going to scrape their money together. It's going to be hard. It's going to hurt. Some people going to lose some things. But collectively, we are all going to gain something. And we got to put ourselves in a position to be ready for that. And we can't just go like, hey, do nothing. Because that's the problem. We're telling these kids to get somewhere and sit down. Well, get somewhere and sit down, still getting us killed.
Well, I mean, I'm not even saying it like that. I think the biggest effect. Okay, so I say this as, and I'm gonna say it like it's kind of weird for me because when we were sitting here and we was all thinking, okay, like I said, they're serious. There's all kinds of help out there for all kinds of people. Okay, if you're elderly, someone was paying your lights, your water. You see what I'm saying? All kinds of stuff was going on. If you paid rent in an apartment, you didn't have to pay it. You see what I'm saying? But the people who got the biggest effect and we had to pay was a homeowner. We ain't have no help. Like there was no bank saying, hey, you don't have to pay this month and you don't have to pay next month. So we were the payers. I don't know if that makes any sense, but when I say someone has to pay,
I agree.
You see what I'm saying?
It's some people that's gonna lose.
Exactly.
We know that.
And sometimes when you take an L so many times, you get tired of taking L's. I'm one of them. I get tired of taking L's.
So that's where it's going to go back to the ones that get tired of taking L's. That's why they burning down buildings.
Well,
no, I'm just saying.
I'm not going to do it. But I get it.
Because if you get tired of taking these L's, that's when these buildings are going to start falling.
I get it.
You know, people going to start burning up stuff.
Because I'm the one that get tired of taking L's. You know what I'm saying?
What you say?
My favorite quote is Paul Wellstone, and he's a former Minnesota senator. But he says significant social change comes from the bottom up. It comes from an aroused opinion that forces the ruling institution to then do the right thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like nobody opted, or nobody said we're going to help you. Every help that we have, whether it's the amendments or whether it's the Civil Rights Act versus the Voting Rights Act, that stuff was forced upon the government.
Right. Yeah, because I'm just saying, like, you know, I'm that L. Yes. Yes. You know, and you're right.
Just said.
I think the biggest challenge is that we make sure that all of this is not for naught. You know what I mean? That it's happening. Yes, it's happening, but we have to make sure that it's not for nothing.
Right.
So while this is happening now, what's the next step? What is our strategy? What is our end game?
Thank you.
How are we going to?
That's what I'm talking about.
Office that are going to execute what we are saying and we want in our manifesto. How are we going to put people in offices that are going to change state Bill of Rights, that are going to change state constitutions to ensure that certain things do not happen? And that's why it's like, I hear people when they say, like, I'm not going to vote, but it's like, come on, it truly impacts you. It's your first step saying something is wrong.
Right. What you say, Miss Chrissy?
But it's going to take all of us. I'm not faulting nobody that's out there tearing anything up.
I'm not.
I don't like the violence.
Me neither. Now that I don't.
If God willing, right here in the God after my election, March 11th, y'all being out there right now in the streets of my city where we have to now enforce the governor has enforced martial law and a mandated curfew and the National Guard to enforce it tonight. I have to hope that the attention that y'all bring this stuff gives me the fuel and the ammunition to make the people who are sitting in the Capitol, when I get there, be like, okay, we do have to change.
Right.
It takes all of us. I hate to say that, but it takes they're bringing light to something that's monumental, that no other language, no other words, nothing that you can ever do has brought light to. We've exhausted everything.
Right.
We marched, we cried, we prayed, we rioted, we've done it. We talked at the round table, we sat on the governor's task force, we sat on the presidential task force, and we still biggest in the street.
That part.
Right. Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I think
I should have said it like that.
No. But that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. And the thing is, we, like you said, everybody plays a role. And, we bring up Martin Luther King, but we bring up where he decided to protest like Gandhi and peacefully. But guess what? They also did with the SELC went out and they trained people, and they didn't just pick folks to go sit at the counter. They went through a full training to see who were the soldiers to sit at the counter. Everybody couldn't sit at that counter.
Right.
Thank you. Everybody couldn't sit at that counter.
Right.
So like you said, Crystal, to say, to the young people that are rising or whatever, that's what they know. Pastor Cole said it earlier. The younger him want to be downtown.
Right.
Right.
But see, he's older and mature now. So you cannot dismiss the youth doing what the youth know to do. And it's we supposed to still guide. You have them in there, let them burn off that energy, work it off.
But it wasn't just the
nobody
youth.
gets hurt. But then, like you said, Brenda just said, we have an end game. Show them here's how we got this. Here's how we go from here with this. And we do more than just burn down the courthouse or whatever. But our parents allowed it for us. We still had to do something.
Right.
Yeah. They would show us and guide us. And so you have to have something else other than, because if we start dismissing our own and making them feel like we're dismissing them, then what else do they really have? Because the home is supposed to be their complete solace, and whether they need to come, cry on our shoulder or just let us listen to them, vent and get it out. We got to be that sounding board for them, and let them do what they got to do with this. Because that's where we at.
The sad thing about it is I've always heard because it's always a group. I know Nicole had a group of men in her household when her kid was growing up, and the same thing goes on now. It just be a group of them. And when they're talking, they're always talking about the fight, I just want to fight. And I always say, why do you want to just fight with your fist all the time? You're trying to ask, well, why? Why? What is so frustrating? Because you can ask them 1,000,001 questions. And I tell you, sometimes they can't, it's like the frustration is so real, they can't even get that sentence out of their mouth. You just don't understand. Make me understand. Just imagine the first thing to come out their mouth is, well, you old, and and I always laugh. I was your age once and then I doubled your age. Let's have a conversation. And I always try to make it be where there's a free room to communicate, as long as you're not being rude or disrespectful. That is my thing. Don't be rude and don't be disrespectful, especially in my house. But when they have those conversations, it's always about a fight. And so every time I think about some of that, like some of those young people that was down there, I knew. But it wasn't just young people down there, It was all of, it was our age going down.
Yeah, just think about it all. Half of our age grew up in the fight.
Right. It's that fight.
It's the our age. I applaud them to hey, go out there. If you feel like this is what you're going to fight for, and this is how you want to fight, that's how you feel like your worth is. Do you?
Right.
Because my thing is everybody have a different type of fight. Because my fight might not be, I might not be protesting, but I might be setting something on fire. You don't know what my fight going to be.
So my fight may just be I walk up on somebody and just because in our mind you got to release it some kind of way. I get it. But like I said, their mind is always set on.
I think it's the brutal strength of it, because they feel
like want to fight.
Because I feel like they feel like that what's happening to them is overpowering them by strength. People are enforcing their strength and their authority on them. So it's more of you pushing this to me.
Right.
So now I got to push back, and I'm
Right.
using my strength to push you off of me.
Even
And that's
if
what they're
it's-
doing. Is like I'm pushing you away from me, and I feel like that's why they use it that fight
Yeah,
mode.
because it's all I hear them say.
Yeah.
Is I want to fight,
Yeah.
and I'm just like,
You know, I would like Brandon to confirm this.
Let the young man
Observing the men in my life is that society as a whole has taught men that that's how they respond, because we pay them to run and hit on a football field. We pay them to get in the ring and box, and they know their brute strength and being a strong man. Hey, we can take it back to slavery. I hate starting there, but it was like, hey, if you're the biggest, blackest, brutest, strongest slave, we want you. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And they think that is what they are here to do. A man is supposed to protect and serve and fight and stand up. We've given them that. The world has given them that audacity. And I had to tell my nephew at one point, I said, look, man, I cannot teach you how to be a man. I'm a
Right.
woman, but I can teach you how to be a good person.
right,
That's all I got. But as a man, I know, I understand it. I feel you sitting here, you want to fight. Because we've told you that, guess what? All you got is your kids. All you got is those muscles. We haven't looked you in your face and told you, guess what? You got more.
right,
You got a thought process. You have a strategy in your body.
right.
God has given you everything that you need, that you can stand there and be still and not necessarily have to move. But we haven't showed them how to use those tools. And Brandon, as a man, this is just my observation from watching my daddy and my uncles and my nephews. But do you feel that is the message? I mean, that's why young men feel that way. Because even in high school, we put more into sports than we do into academics.
Right.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Go ahead, Brandon.
We've lost a huge component. Just in when we educate our kids, it's for I don't know how many years we've always said Black History is not just Black History Month, right?
Right.
But like you see a lot of this frustration because these babies don't really understand, and it's not even just babies, but people are so frustrated that it's just like I can really fight my way through this. But these people, like us, we're not really educated that it's been a fight. It's long been a fight.
Right.
And where we're going, we may not get there in your lifetime or mine. Okay?
Right.
But we still gotta go. So, slow down, pace yourself. I wrote a bill when I was just a staffer, and it was to reintroduce minority education. And that was literally because if you don't know your history, you repeat your history.
Right.
Right. When kids start being taught about sit-ins and lunch counters and the SNC and the SLCG, right? When they start being taught about these things, you don't know how to fight because we were previously educated on all the methods and all the techniques that were employed by us on how to fight. We were educated on it. Exactly. Now they want to whitewash our history.
Right.
They want to whitewash our history, but our kids are responding because they don't know the history.
They don't.
Because they're removing it.
But we don't know the history of that oppression. Right. The anger is well placed, but we got to get knowledge behind that anger.
Right. Right.
And then I think, okay, Brandon, with you being the only man now on the call, do you think some of the anger is a combination? You got to also realize some of the, I won't say the fatherless in the manner of death, but fatherless in some of their fathers have been locked up for so long, so that male figure is not in that household to guide them. Just that absent father, even because as Crystal stated, we can't tell them how to be a man. So some of these feelings, even though we can be the sounding board and listen, we're never going to understand what you truly feel.
What you truly feel.
As a man.
But I think that where we've gone astray with, because Crystal also said, I can't teach you how to be a man, but I can teach you how to be a good person.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Now, there's some stuff that does not come down to man or woman. It's solely not based upon your sex, but based upon your character, your moral composition. It's
Right.
you know, I look forward to the day that I'm blessed to have a family. I tell people all the time, you know, they say you hear people say, I don't know what type of father to be. I don't know how to be a father. For me, it's right. It's everything that I wanted in a father when I grew up. Because of my having a father. That's my coach book. That's my handbook. When it's my turn, what was I looking for? What did I need?
Well, I have a question from Facebook, and the question is, when are we as a people going to learn and commit to the notion that our spending power will amplify our voice? Good question. Good question, Calvin.
Can I put
Has anyone been able to answer that question?
Okay. Yeah, Crystal, go ahead.
I've been doing what I've been doing since I was 18 years old, and one of the things that there's a disconnect is to answer the when is when we learn what that money is
It's
a
tool, right?
We don't understand that.
Right.
We don't understand that. We think that money creates value to us. We have a very, very poor association to money. So that the simplest answer to that question is when we as a people understand that money is a tool. It is not an object. It is not something for us to possess. When I learned that there are several different ways to get what it is that you want out of life. And it's not necessarily that you have to have the money. Money is a tool.
That part.
It is a tool. So if you find different tools to get what you want, you're winning. That's going to be the first thing that we got to learn. The second thing that we don't have to learn is what our money buys.
Right.
One of the things that I do is I study money trends. We think that we poor because that's the perception that's been given
right.
to us.
That's correct.
We have to learn that money is a tool, and the perception that's given to us is that, hey, everybody else but us knows that it's a tool with us. So everybody else, let's just say it's a shovel. This $1 bill is a shovel. This $1 bill, this shovel gonna dig me out of this hole, but we're not using it as a shovel. We're using it as a paper plane. We keep flying it across the road.
Correct.
So of course we ain't gonna get where we're trying to go because we keep using our dollar as a paper plane instead of a shovel. That's what I mean. The simplest term for that is when we realize that money is a tool. It is a simple yet very, very complicated concept to learn. And disposable income. Disposable income is everything that you have left after you have paid your basic needs, your utilities, your food, your shelter, your vehicle, whatever. The money we have left over is in abundance, but we don't see it that way because we confuse disposable income with luxury needs.
There you go.
Some people got BS on when they pay their bills. They got stupid stuff on their list like I can do without Netflix. That's not a necessity. Nothing's going to happen to me if I don't have Netflix. And we confuse the things that we need with the things that we want. We have to change our value system after we learn that money is a tool. A tool. And that means that there are different tools to get what you need done. A lot of our kids don't understand that they can receive a college education for absolutely free because they don't know how to do it. They don't know that they don't need the paper dollar tool. There's another tool to get this done. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. We don't understand that. We don't understand that. It's a lot of stuff we got to unlearn. But the number one thing that we need to learn as a people, that money is a tool.
Love the answer. Anybody want to? I don't have nothing else to say. You nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I agree that it needs to, just like teaching them how to crawl and walk, we need to start then. Don't wait until it's time for them to go to college or something to start trying to teach them that. I think that's where mistakes have been made too, on our part as the adults. We wait too long to start really training on that. I remember my parents would make us go in the store just randomly, on our own with the money and count that change.
Right.
You better bring my correct change back. That was at an early age to start teaching us, about the money and everything. So, we can't wait until it's time for them to go to college to start saying, well, you really don't have to do this. You can do it this way. I mean, they have no clue.
I want to add to that before I
like
ask the question. We have another question as well. Adding to that is another thing that we failed to teach our children. I never forget. In 2010, I was allowed to go into various schools with DISD to just speak about the true meaning of credit. Like, what is it for? You know, utilizing your buying power and knowing when not to. You know, it was funny because we had a quiz and it was like, what would you use your credit card for? And someone said food. And I was like, I would never pay interest on food, you know, but that's because they were never taught. With that being said, I'm going to ask these questions. One question is, it says, I'm popular. How do we educate our people that we need to abolish racism from within? The second question is, can we really fight external racism before the internal racism is taken care of? Woo!
That's a good one.
That's a mouthful. You said a mouthful. You said a mouthful. That is crazy. And you're so right. I don't even know. How do we even start that answer? Because the racism within ourselves, we still have people who see the different color of black.
Right.
We're all black. And you're still seeing the different colors of black. So we start there. We have some people to even tell people that their dark skin does not make them beautiful. Baby, you're beautiful any color that you are, any shade that God blessed you with.
I'm going to counter that. You got people that are colorists that'll teach you if you're black that your light skin is not beautiful as well.
Correct. Right. Correct.
That's age-old. Spike Lee hit that nail on the head with the Jiggy Boo.
That is correct. I was about to say that.
That's right.
Yes.
That's
right. It's a question that we've been asking,
but that was a taught behavior too.
Let's not fault ourselves for that internal racism.
Right.
Because that internal racism was embedded and taught.
Right.
Right.
There was a reason why the second generation on the slave plantation, who might be the child of master and the slave,
right?
You know, they were in the house and cooking and doing whatever and cooking and cleaning. Come on, there was a taught racism there.
Right.
So
yes.
Why am I not good enough to be in there doing that? Why am I not good enough to do that? It's not all just our fault that we have this internal racism. And I'm not even going to say racism. It's so much as colorism.
Right.
There you go.
It's not that we hate each other. Let's be very clear. We're not racist against other Africans.
No, that is a colorism.
They shade you or shade you based on the shade of your color.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
Right. I mean, that's sad. It goes back to slavery, where the house was light skinned.
But the first slave was actually the Caucasian woman. She started out as the original slave. Then when we came along, it can lighten up her duties.
Hello.
But then she got mad because the master started going to us and, you know, making babies and having mixed breed. You know, so to be honest, we was not the very first slave. It was actually the Caucasian lady, the woman that was in the household, because they did them dirty. They did everything up on the sun. They took it.
Well,
just like they decided they were going to do everything up on the sun on us, but they did it first with them and went outside. So I think we have to, and for us, we now, because our kids they don't get that history. We got to start teaching them.
Right.
And we got to
teach them.
Yeah.
We have to teach them.
And we have a lot of people that can't teach them. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, you can't teach what you don't know.
Yeah,
so that's what
the
problem is. You can't teach what you don't know. So if people weren't educated on it, or it was never brought up in their household, then they wouldn't even know. Like, it's crazy because I didn't know the difference in color. I'm so sorry. I didn't know the difference in color. When I came to Texas, it was made known to me, my color. And that was weird for me because when we were in New York, I didn't have anybody calling me the N-word. And when I came to Texas, the first time I heard it was just a random someone saying it. And the second time I was in Oklahoma at work. And I was called a nigga gal, and I didn't know what that was. I just stopped, like, and I'm in my 20s, so I'm in my 20s, and in my 20s I was a different honey John. I was way different honey John.
That mouth was flipped.
So I almost lost my job and my cool. But at the end of the day, I was with a company that has zero tolerance for that. and that individual lost their job. But it made me go home and question, like, what made me be the N-word? Because to me, that was a form of ignorance and negativity. That was the thought of in our head. That's what we were given. You know, I know that the world wasn't roses and berries, but if my mom and them could make roses and berries be the world, that's exactly what they made. My mom and dad made it seem like the world was roses and berries and butterflies and birds. You know, it was until we got older when we realized, it's not quite Kansas anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, that's when we
I
learned.
think that we all have a responsibility to not do that, you know?
Right.
Like, I can recall growing up and, like, my grandfather, I'll never forget this. My first trip down south to go visit his family in Louisiana, and my grandfather made me pick cotton.
Woo.
Okay?
Oh, nice.
At like 9 years old, he made me pick cotton.
I ain't picking no cotton.
And he wanted me to see. Like, this was real life.
Right. It was. It was.
It's not just something
Yes, she's talking about she bullshit.
You know, I noticed in my grandmother's family, they made it a point to teach us about Fanny Bauer, the Fanny Lou Bauer. Right, that's my great grandmother. She has 13 children with her owner.
So Brandon, I'm gonna tell you a funny story. The first time I ever saw cotton, I was in my 40s. I had never seen cotton before. And when it was shown to me, I swear, I was like, let's stop the car. Oh my God, is that a cotton field? And I went up to it. I'll never forget. I was telling Nicole, I went and I pulled something off and it was so stringy. I was like, now how in the world did they fill up a bag? And the first thing at that time, the guy I was with, he said, now you see how hard it was to be a black man or a black woman back then. And I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have came back with a bag. It was so stringy.
I'll be with Harriet.
I remember my first trip to a plantation. I was 10 years old.
Ooh, you got an opportunity because I've never seen one, and I'm in.
Oh, you didn't go.
No, I ain't never seen a plantation now.
Oh, it's one that Louisiana.
Okay.
Oh, they're around. I went to college.
Yeah, they're still there.
Several around there. Like tourist attraction. I remember my grandfather and my aunt came to visit me in the state. Yeah. God, my granddaddy wanted to go see Andrew Jackson's plantation. And my aunt was like, when I was beginning here, his last name is Jackson. His grandbaby works here. Like she was really, it's the real thing. It's like, that's a part of their culture that they pray. In some parts of the South, like, people want to get married at. You know, like, they want their weddings to be on plantation. Right.
Well, and it's like you said, colorism is all over, so it's like it's just in different ways in different areas, you know, because I mean, like you said, honey, you didn't think you knew colorism, but you knew enough that when you got called that it was wrong that you got fly with whoever called you that. So, you know, it's like, I mean, we know it. We know it when it hits us. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to go back to the question about, you know, colorism and racism within, and you know, us kind of being racist within our own culture. And I think that some of these things we're going to have to accept are going to be ongoing struggles. Just like we buy a car, we still got to maintain it. I think a lot of this is going to be a constant maintenance because guess what? We still having babies in a new world.
Right.
We still, you know, things are still changing. Our bodies are changing. I mean, biologically, we are not the same black people in 2020 that we were in 1940. So I think that some of this is going to have to, there isn't an answer for that. It's that we're going to have to ongoing and collectively understand that, hey, you know, a lot of this stuff is real cliche.
Right.
I think we give a lot of life to a lot of unnecessary stuff. And I think that as parents, and as part of the village, it is my job to let all of these children know that nobody gets to tell you that you are ugly, you are beautiful. You get to tell you that.
Right.
It's nobody else's job.
Right.
Nobody has a job to it. So I don't care what. The one thing I love about the Hispanic culture, they kids wear whatever the hell they want. Whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
And nobody bothers them about that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody about the cowboy boots, church shoes, pair of jeans, G.I. Joe shirt, whatever.
Because I had them little shiny shoes.
I did. You know?
Unfortunately, we're coming from a different foundation, and I understand it because we were so deprived and downtrodden and ridiculed and abused and, insulted. I mean, broken down. This is going to be an ongoing thing for us. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think there's going to be an answer. There really isn't an answer for that. We have to maintain ourselves as a people on a consistent basis. That's just our struggle. We got to keep doing that.
Yeah, because I mean, when you think about, we built it up. We had Black Wall Streets. We had, people are just tired. I feel like, because anything and everything we've done is just y'all want to see keep coming at us, and you burn it down. So like you said, you have to, because everything that you saying the Hispanics are doing, we used to do. But ain't nobody burning their stuff down. I mean, we got Hot Cheeto Face up there in the office trying to get on a swinging wall that fell on a tree.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all seen that. The trees, when the wind got up real high, so it's certain trees that just caught part of the wall falling. But, it's like, we do have to, like you said, it's a living thing that's going to keep growing with us. That we got to just keep going. Those that don't know, I mean, like Brandon mentioned, a lot of adults don't know their history to even tell the kids.
Right.
So we have to create and teach and guide those of us that do know. We have to offer that type of stuff to them. Like Crystal mentioned, it brought out a lot of the sewers. Sewing was a dying thing for a while.
It is bad.
Now, it brought out the people that knew how to sew, the seamstresses,
right,
and making masks and stuff. So we have to be there for them and guide them through that, and I mean, a young man that I work with, Jeff Wilson, my sister and I went down with him. He and his wife have a nonprofit with their little summer track team. And, they toured Texas A&M for colleges because these were some kids that probably never thought they would see a college campus. Well, guess what? What we observed was their parents that were with them, a lot of them, it was their first time ever being on this campus. And they weren't old people either. You know what I mean? We're talking like mid-30s, 40s. And they had never been on a college campus themselves. So, like y'all said, we can't teach what you don't know to teach.
That's correct.
So it's for those of us that have the opportunity, we got to share that knowledge.
Right.
Everybody, I got to dismiss myself.
Okay.
I'm having my call with my campaign crew.
Okay.
Signatures today.
Okay.
We
truly appreciate you being on the call. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank y'all. Fine, I would love to come back on and get the conversation. Definitely day one. I like the dialogue. Thank you, lady.
Oh, we would trust. We'll get you back on.
We'll call you in and anytime we're here.
All right.
Thank you.
The website is BrandonForChange.com, y'all.
Thank you, Brandon.
All right, BrandonForChange.com.
BrandonForChange.com is that website, everybody.
Please view it.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, I just sent a message out to see if Miss Kelby wanted to elaborate on her own question. So, if you want to call in, but I'm looking at the time. I'm so sorry. We done had such a beautiful and glorious conversation, and just woo. Thank everybody for watching and just clicking in and clicking out, sharing your thoughts in, your hellos and all that you've done and all your questions. I truly, truly appreciate it. And this is the time where we normally say, our last thoughts. And then after our last thoughts, we'll give everybody a good night.
Miss Crystal, you got something else to elaborate on or say? Gonna wrap it up.
I think we learned a lot
No, I think this was
1 second, Miss Chrissy.
Oh,
Go
no, it's
ahead,
Crystal.
Crystal J.
No, I just wanted to end on a note that I think we have a lot to learn from our young people right now and how they're responding, what they're doing. They're a lot different from us. Their tools to communicate are a lot different from ours. And right now, I'm just using this opportunity to pay attention to them and seeing where I can be of a different voice. Not to say my position is to tell you what you are doing is wrong. Right now, I just want them to know that we understand, and we're here. You know, I understand that I'm here because I don't have the answers either. But I think that there's a lot that I can learn from them right now, and what they're doing and what they're going through. I think that we got to strongly pay attention because, you know, I think Brandon could speak to this because laws don't change overnight. Change doesn't come overnight. It's gonna come in time, and it may not be in our lifetime. It may be in theirs, and I think that it's our responsibility to kind of help them along the way because we might be gone when it comes to fruition.
Right. So true. So true.
I think Miss Kelby actually had wanted to call in for quick something to say.
We're trying to see if she's gonna call in
because she put a message
quick
out here.
The message was: do you think that we all, as parents, fail our children by giving them too much without them really earning it? Are we the reason they have so much anxiety, unwilling to keep a job versus unable to? Wow.
I mean, it depends. I don't think we give. I think I mean, some parents do give too much, and some parents don't give enough. You know, I don't think we would be the reason because we're looking at the fact that we didn't have this certain thing, and we wanted to give our kids that opportunity to have that. And like I call them microwave babies. I mean, this is what I call the generation now. They truly microwave babies. It's all about technology, you know, with them. So I feel like, yeah, we always want to give them something that we didn't have.
Right.
Just like our parents gave us something that they didn't have, you know. So it's just a tradition that we pass on down the line. Sometimes, yeah, you can do too much because you can. Me personally, having a son, I was determined that my son was not going to be turned out to be less than a man.
Right.
I was determined that he knew to stand up for himself. That was my determination. Now I could have been extra hard on him doing it, you know. But for me as a single parent, as a mom, I'm looking at it. My son gonna know who he is. He gonna know that he is a man. He gonna hold his chest up, and he gonna he's gonna have that. And nobody can tell him about him because he's gonna know who he is.
Right,
you know, and that's how I did. Yes, I might get. Yes, he's spoiled. You know, he's the only child. All the kids get spoiled somewhere, some form of fashion. But I feel like we will give that child more things because some things we didn't have when we was growing up, or something that we missed that we thought we should have had, you know. So we will give that to our children. I don't know if anybody else has something else.
No, I mean I'm
she
yes.
Yeah,
she's on the call right now.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing.
All right.
So go ahead, Miss Ma'am. What's your response?
What is your response on your own question? Because it was a good one.
So I believe that my initial question in reference to the racism within, or what was my first question?
That was the first one. The first question was, and I'll read it to you. How do we educate our people that we need to abolish racism from within? And then you said, can we really fight external racism before the internal is taken care of?
Right. So, with all the protests that are going on, that we see it on television, I mean, you can't even get away from it. You can't even go to your car and have a minute to yourself without hearing something about I can't breathe, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, blue lives matter. Life itself is what matters. And I think that with Black people, we can go back 1, 2, 3 generations for me with my grandmother, my grandfather. They are the ones that I don't think I ever had a concern about who I was as far as my identity was concerned. I was always, You know how they say in health, I was always strong, I was always smart, and I was always going to be something. And whatever something was, is I was going to be the best at it. Right. If we can just go back as a whole and just dial it back a little bit, black people, just black people, if we can't respect each other without being a porch monkey or a coon or taking something that someone else has said that was derogatory about ourselves and then taking those words and applying it to ourselves as if we won, we are never going to exceed, because all we do is take that hate that they give us and then we apply it to one another. And we act like we won. I'm going to use this pedestal to set myself up because I am better than you, period. Instead of me turning around and saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to rebuke what they said. And I'm going to take my sister by her arm because we are equal, regardless of our skin tone. That just means that God had a different day and a color crayon that he was working with that day, but she is still my sister. And if we can't elevate each other starting today, I have a huge fear of what is going to come to pass. Because if we don't even love ourselves, and I also have a mixed emotions about the looting and everything else that's going on as far as our race is concerned. Because even I'm upset that they're walking out of the Target with 2 lamps. I feel like we're disrespecting my young person that was on the ground who was crying for his mom as he was passing away. We take something so trivial as 2 lamps and we apply it to someone's life. So we are now off focus of the man who died on the ground calling for his mom, because we can't help but worry about 2 kids that ran out of the Target with a lamp. If we cannot educate ourselves to be smarter than the people that are pulling the strings on our arms and making us behave certain ways, we're never going to win. And that, again, goes to my second one about the spending power. Mm-hmm. You take my money only if I give it to you. And you're going to damn well earn it. That means you're going to give me the respect that comes with this tool, as someone said earlier. So if you want us to be smart and educated, we as a people have to start falling back. Even if you got $5, somebody in that store wants those $5. And they're going to be, yes, ma'am, come on in. But that's also an indicator to my black-owned businesses. Step up your game as taking care of these black dollars, because they can run the world if you bind it together. You know, back in the day, your grandmother used to say, one finger is weak, but you put those fingers together and you make a fist, you become a mighty weapon. $1 is peons, but if we all come together and put our dollar together, we become a vessel to be dealt with.
True that. True that. Mm. Okay.
Okay. Crystal, you have something to say?
I want to touch on a question about our kids, that we give them too much and not enough, and or we kind of ruining them. One of the things I think as parents that we're contending with, and my mom and daddy didn't have to contend with, is that we're able to see in people's households a lot more often, a lot more clearly, and a lot more vividly than we were.
That's true.
Whereas on the first day of school, I didn't really have any idea of what anybody's mom and daddy made as far as income until I saw the shoes on their feet. But now, with social media, whenever our kids click on a picture, open up a phone, they see somebody with something on, somebody doing something, somebody being a place. And whether it's true or not, our kids are dealing with a perception that is altering their reality. Mm. They don't really understand that a lot of this shit is for show. I'm sorry,
for real.
On the phone. I've been cussing. I don't think they understand that a lot of this is for show. And as parents, we have to deal with that response by trying to communicate to our kids that, hey, even if I can afford it, that doesn't mean that you're going to have it.
Right.
That's first and foremost. Just because I can afford it doesn't mean that you can have it. Because a lot of things that you are capable of having and doing may not be beneficial to you. Those are very complicated conversations to have with our children. And like we said, we got to start early. We can't start at, high school, community communicating to them about what money is and how it affects them and how it will influence their lives, we got to start early. I think that in a lot of cases, most parents do the best that they can with what they have from the very beginning, and then we start to, at some point, we start to kind of teeter because then we're responding. And I think that the main thing with me as a parent, I try to gain control and maintain control throughout the whole deal. And hey, if I said no, guess what? Everybody said no. I don't care if your papa said he gonna buy it for you. I don't care if Michelle said she gonna buy it for you. I said no. Right. And it wasn't because I couldn't afford it. It's because you don't need it or I don't think it's good for you. So to answer your question, yes or no, I think as parents, most of us do the best that we can. But with so many outside influences on our kids, we have to react and respond more than we can be able to be proactive. Because a lot of the stuff that come to them, they don't really be wanting this stuff. They don't, I mean, you know, they see other people with it. And I wish we made common sense as fashionable as we make shoes and clothes. I really wish we made attaining goals and spending time with family as fashionable, as popular as we do a lot of these, you know, Instagram posts and TikTok videos and all of this good stuff, because our kids build their value systems, unfortunately, now what they're seeing on social media. So as parents, we got to fight a whole lot harder than maybe what my mama did. It was like, hey, if I had money to go buy my own kicks, I was cool. I could pick them out. This is your budget. Your budget is $40. Do what you can.
Right.
You know, so now it's, hey, you know, I got to get some Balenciagas, I got to get some James, I got to get some this, I got to get some that. It's like, you know what, you don't need any of this stuff. All this stuff is just the stuff you saw on social media. So we do the best we can. But that's for the most part, man, these kids, you're going to be okay if you don't get them shoes. You're going to be okay. And not to make it just materialistic. I think that there are other things that kids need. And do we spoil our kids by giving them too much of our attention? Do we spoil them by not giving them enough? Again, I think as parents, we do the best that most of us, I keep saying most of us, because I know some stuff your parents. Most of us do the best that we can with what we have, but we got a lot of stuff working against us.
We do. Peer pressure is one. Anything, Nicole?
No, I'm good. I said what I had to say earlier, you know. I mean, everybody spoke well, and I agree with a lot of things. You know, everybody have their own opinion about certain things. Me, I spoil everybody's kids because they can go back to you. You know, I can send your kids back. But I really enjoyed Brandon. I really enjoyed Pastor Cole for calling in, and thank you, Crystal, and thank you for Kelby for calling in. We really enjoyed you all and the questions that you all did have. Yeah, it's a delight. I mean, I enjoy these sessions every time.
Every time.
And I thank you all.
I think today we got like so deep into the quarantine that we went political. We went from political to religion, and we touched so many bases that it just made a perfect harmony. So I want to say, you know, thank you to our special guest, Brandon. Thank you, Kelby. Thank you, as always, Crystal, for always being there. Just thank you. We appreciate you, Pastor Cole, and of course, you know, our co-host, we're going to always try to find something that needs to be said because, of course, you understand that Let's Sip Tea going to say whatever needs to be said without a filter. But, of course, we do it with knowledge. We thank you guys for just being on, asking your questions, showing some love, and we thank you for allowing us to steal your time so much today. We love it. We love you guys. Thank you. Until next time, do what you do best. Let's talk. Let's sip tea.